that was the sound of me opening a beer.
You just cracked one open for the boys.
I
did.
Love that.
If you want to know, the name of the beer is Champion of the Sun.
Yes. What type of beer is it?
It's an IPA.
Nope.
But it's a New England style. Like,
don't care.
New England style. So
you know what? That's our cold opening. Welcome to Phantoms, everybody. We're going to talk about our top 5 things this year we liked and some things we disliked.
Lou, when you say New England style, do you mean you crack it open and then it says something racist?
It's not Boston style.
Damn.
It's not a Boston lager.
I live here. I can say that.
It means that if I could go real beer dirty, it's
Hunter. So are you from actual Boston or Space Boston? Like Bill Burr?
Space Boston, obviously.
Is that like Space Australia?
Yes.
I was going to say,
I know.
Space Boston is the most Dragon Ball Z abridged thing I've heard since Space Australia or Space Hulu.
Dude, he's from Space Boston. He has the accent.
Right. No. Call me a goddamn stormtrooper.
I wasn't a stormtrooper, wise ass.
That's called Northern Curacao. That's what that accent is.
Ruby, go lay down.
Okay,
I'll get back on the couch in a little while. Jeez. Impatient pitbull.
This is already going in a direction.
This is already the best episode we've ever done. All right. Yeah. Top 5.
And there's 5 of us.
Yeah. Why don't we introduce ourselves? Thank you, Lewis. Yeah.
Yeah.
And dead silence. So
Connor.
Eric just introduced me.
Connor.
Let's introduce each other.
You know what? Let's do that. Yeah.
God damn it!
I'm John Scott
too.
So I'm Lou Gonzalez. I'm introducing Arlen Harrow.
Yo, and that was Lou Gonzalez.
Already messing it up. Good job.
Good job.
Eric, we don't care. That's Eric Fedorchak.
Eric Fedorchak, let me be the Peter Pan cutout for you to stare at as you go into a new year, 2020, while 2019 stares deeply into you.
I don't like this.
And the one that sounds like he's speaking from a higher altitude is Hunter Davenport.
That's because I'm sitting up. Yes, this is America's boyfriend, Hunter Davenport. And we also have Conor McGraw.
Yeah. I just finished listening.
I'm Conor McGraw. Oh my god. Yeah, this is the top 5. And Connor's gone for a moment, it seems. So yeah.
Connor's lost in the Phantom Zone. The actual Phantom
Does somebody
Zone.
want to volunteer to start, or do we just want to go in seat order?
Well, I mean, being that we didn't actually go in any type of proper order for introduction, I'll jump on the grenade. So for my number 5, and it's convenient, I just finished it tonight, I went with The Witcher. Anybody else have this? Okay.
I do not have it on my list.
Mine is on. I have it on there.
It would have been on my list. It very much would have.
I do indeed have The Witcher on here.
Okay. I can't really go into depth about it just because it's very much the beginning of something, but I think it's, as much as there are issues with some of the special effects budget, I still think it's doing a great job of telling a very interesting story. And
I think part of that is Netflix, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely like Netflix style CG.
Well, that, and I think they're also being cautious. I mean, they probably spent a lot of money to get Henry Cavill on here.
Yeah.
But
a lot of money on wigs.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
A lot, and
the
a lot
wig
of money
budget.
on wigs. In that bathtub, that will cost a little bit of money.
Yeah,
there's a lot of
it
sets.
costs money.
There's a lot of sets, and it's filmed. I think I read it's filmed a lot in Spain.
Lewis, let me let you know a secret. There's a lot of sex in The Witcher.
Yes.
He fucks a lot.
But the thing I was most pleasantly surprised
I meant
by,
sets. I said sets.
S-E-T-S, you pervert.
Yikes, outing myself.
The thing I think I was most impressed by was the fact that, like, I'll admit that I was one of those people that was initially a little bit confused about the timelines, but then as the episodes went on, it coalesced really well. And
that's actually my favorite part of the show.
Can we finally hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Fuck off, Discord. Jesus
That's
Christ.
Conor McGraw. I did it.
it all came together in a really great way, and they did it in a way that let you know, like, hey, guess what? This is what you've been watching the whole time. You're like, oh shit, so he's been like 10 minutes behind her like this entire time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
you
really
just spent so much time getting backstory, which is great. I was so pleasantly surprised by it.
It does kind of do that relationship justice too, in the way that that's set up, because he's always behind her, like, essentially.
But guys, women can't use swords. That guy on the TV said so.
No, they can use swords. They just can't fight with them well.
Can't fight with them. Yeah. To quote some guy, what was it, the Daily Wire? 0 women can fight with a sword.
I've never seen a woman with a sword. Never, not once.
They don't go to space. They don't go to.
Does he not count Gwendolyn Christie in Game of Thrones? Like,
no.
I suggested that Gwendolyn Christie should cleave him in half with a broadsword.
I mean, I'm not going to be against that.
I mean, I would see it.
I'd pay to watch it. Let's do it publicly.
Right.
It's a beautiful love story. I'd love to see it.
The Witch is great.
Yeah. I haven't finished it yet. I've only seen 3 episodes, which is why it's not on my list.
Keep watching. It's great.
I know. I'm going to. I was going to say before Discord decided I didn't have a microphone, even though I fucking do. 2019 is packed full of stuff that I forgot happened.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a lot of highs, and there's some lows, but I feel like this is more of a high in the nerddom year.
Lows are very high profile, but few and far between.
Yes.
There is the low I picked has me so low that I had to watch good content from that universe in order to erase my memory.
Well, let's not get into that yet. Since I jumped on the grenade for number 5, who wants to go next?
Well, since Discord tried to excise me from this dimension, I went with Spider-Man for PS4 because
that was 2019.
That was 2018, Connor.
Bullshit. No, it wasn't.
It was.
Yeah,
yes, it was.
Yeah. Pretty sure it was like a year and a half.
Time doesn't exist.
That is how fucking long this year has felt.
I know.
I don't. You know what? Who cares? Whatever. There it is. I'm not changing the pick. So there.
You know what?
Well, the DLC
I kind of like
was
this on their toys. So yeah.
The DLC was this year. So
yes,
I mean, I'm willing to let that count. I don't care. So.
It counts.
Yeah.
It counts. Don't worry.
And I don't think I got talked about last year. At least I don't think I do. Anyway, I did anyway.
I feel like it was on the list that Arlen sent.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't fucking
it was
remember.
on there.
Hey, it's just as good as it was last year. But to reiterate, it's weird to get, or it's not weird, but it's very refreshing to get a superhero game that's like as good as Rocksteady's Arkham outputs, because that's it. There's really nothing else. There's no other superhero games.
That's wrong, but okay.
Yes.
What else are there? Because there really isn't anything.
I can segue to my 5. I was actually going to say, I know it doesn't get like great reviews, but I love Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
Lou, that is also my 5.
Yeah, all right, sweet.
That game fucking rules.
It's, if you love a Diablo-esque like just grinder, they just had the second set of DLC come out with a bunch of X-Men.
Yeah, I'm not too excited about that DLC, but Moon Knight's in it.
Well, the new DLC gave Moon Knight 2 new costumes.
Guess I'm playing DLC.
To go back to my point, there really isn't a singular superhero-centered series outside of Batman or Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, well, you're a guy. Yes, that's correct.
You were playing as one.
That's go ahead, Lou. Sorry.
I was just saying, one of my favorite things is like, so in the new DLC they just dropped, they gave Blade's original costume. So he's in a green trench coat with like a giant, like a big fro.
Yes. See, he always looks like he had like a safari jacket on to me, but I can see the trench coat thing too.
Well, because they can only do so much, so it's like it has to go like it's like a recoloring of his regular costume.
Oh, so it's like Marvel vs. Capcom 3, where they have like 3 million different versions of the same costume, but it's just recolored.
Yes and no. Some of the characters get like Hulk has like a Planet Hulk costume, which that's completely different.
Oh, nice.
Deadpool has like a chef's outfit too.
I don't care about Deadpool.
I know, but like it just there's some. I'm just trying to prove the point.
Go ahead.
I think Spider-Man has one that's completely different, doesn't he? Doesn't he have the iron one?
Yeah, he has the iron. He has the silver costume, like the armor costume.
Okay, but really, that's it? Because I mean, that was one of the hallmarks of like Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2. Was
each character has 2? Some of them have like 5 at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
They're adding them too.
So yeah, like Carol Danvers has like current Carol Danvers, the one with the mask, then like OG Ms. Marvel, like the black with the lightning strike.
Oh god,
nice.
And then they just gave that one another alternate look.
Nice.
I wish I could justify owning 3 consoles at this point in my life. So, but I'm not gonna buy a Switch, so I'm probably never gonna play this game.
Oh well, being that we got our one son Oculus Rift for Christmas, I'll have to just take his Switch and play this game.
Eye for an eye.
Yeah, they do add. There's a bunch. One of the things I like is it went back to the first game with like a giant cast, and there's a bunch of people that like. I was like, oh, I'm surprised. Like Elsa Bloodstone is like one of the playable characters.
Yes, Elsa's in the game. It's fucking awesome. Ghost Rider's in it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, Ghost Rider's always pretty cool, at least game wise.
Yeah.
Wasp is in it. She's pretty badass in the game.
Falcon. He plays Falcon, which is like weird.
His costume is like the worst in the game.
Yeah, he looks kind of doofy.
So what is it outside of it being a Diablo like that makes you guys like it so much?
It's just fun to play. For me, it's fun to play as those characters, and then it's just so grindy in that Diablo-esque way to get everything. Like it's very.
It's grindy, but it's not a bad grindy. It's like it's a great way to lose 4 hours of your life, honestly.
Exactly.
Oh well, you're talking to somebody who's played through Diablo 3 multiple times.
Yeah.
I totally get it. Nice.
It's just it's fun to like kind of mix and match heroes, see how they're going to interact with each other. Like their super moves like drastically change how you play the game.
Oh, nice. Okay, so they kept that from part 2 as well.
Yeah. So like you can. Basically, I think in part 2 you can only have 2 people do attack. On 3 you can have all 4 at the same time do their ultimate attack.
That's the greatest thing ever,
and it's fucking cool.
Yeah, it like completely covers the screen. Just adding like some of the new costumes they added. So there's like Kid Loki, Ghost Rider.
That world. Cool.
You can play as Loki? What?
Yes. Loki's like one of the characters that's a bitch to unlock.
Yeah, there's hidden characters. So
I will say, having played Ultimate Alliance 2 in the last like year and a half or so, that game has not aged well at all.
No, it's bad. The first one is better to play.
The first one's really fun. The second one is so not fun.
I just hate that you can't change the control scheme in those re-releases on Xbox Live.
And for me to like, they lock you out of certain characters once you make your choice. As far as like this, first of all, the Civil War in that game is the worst version of Civil War ever.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's super brief it's super brief and it's predicated on like the most video gamey tropey thing of all time, which is evil clones. Or like fucking, nano-like controlled
thing at the end is so bad.
Yes,
I think this one does a good job with the story because it's basically what we just got in the movies, and you're playing through like the Infinity Saga.
Wait, I've never finished Ultimate Alliance 2 because I could never bring myself to do it because I got so
bored. God, really?
What is the Nick Fury thing at the end?
He's not actually Nick Fury. He's like a nano clone thing.
It's so dumb.
He's an LMD.
I thought there was a bunch of those at the game though, because like Cap Rex one, like others appear. Like, was there was never a Nick Fury?
So he's an AI something. He's basically Brother Eye, and then Nick Fury is like this weird monster creature that has like
fuck off
4 random powers.
Yeah.
Oh wait, so he's Super Skrull?
Basically, I'm gonna try to find a picture.
It's
really the last unlockable character.
Oh my god, that's fucking stupid.
Dumbest.
That is just as dumb as the whole Civil War being like, well, nanobots infected other heroes and they went. He looks like fucking.
Are you looking at the photo?
He looks like Cyborg. It is so Savitar. Oh no,
he does look like exactly like Savitar. Oh no,
yes, that's not like a bad
Savitar and Megatron.
Not a good look. I don't know how much of Savitar Erik has actually seen.
I've seen enough to know I don't ever need to watch it.
He looks like Bumblebee. He looks like a shitty version of Bumblebee.
Kind of. Yeah.
I'm so against this.
It is funny though. Like, I do actually think he looks like Justice League Cyborg.
He does,
like a lot. And Savitar, just hilarious.
Yeah. I like when the budget for Savitar ran out, so he started showing up in his like Power Rangers villain budget costume, like the one I just put in the chat. Where it's like he's bulky and stupid looking and doesn't have the range of the motion that the CGI model has, so he's just like lumbering around the set the whole time.
Have you ever actually seen what he looks like in the comics?
Yes, he has a fucking gold headband and doesn't have a shirt on. And has like purple pants or some shit.
He's isn't he like a Native American guy?
He's like Tarzan.
Yeah, he's also like a cult leader, so he's dressed like one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this picture he's shirtless.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, put a shirt on.
Oh yeah. And he's got one of those like Luke Cage headdress thingamajigs on. God, I love his design.
He looks constipated.
I love when he shows up in Flash Rebirth and he's like, "I'm back," and then Barry touches him and he dies immediately.
Yeah.
Oh god.
So, did you want to add anything else about Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, Lou?
No, I would just say like I think it's a really fun game. It's one of the main reasons I want to get a Switch since it's a Switch exclusive, which is really fucking annoying.
Yeah.
But the Switch in general is a fun system.
That turned me off to that game immediately because, like I said, I'm not justifying buying a third console because I can barely squeeze enough time for two of them.
I can guarantee you that they were the only people interested in making this game. Was Nintendo.
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they made it.
Yeah. Well, they needed.
What do you mean a multiplayer game that's not a live service and has microtransaction incentives?
Yeah.
Oh, there is an online part of the game, but there are no microtransactions.
There's not now.
They're saving that for Avengers. What?
Can't wait.
Whenever that game comes out,
you have to pay $20 to play as Captain America.
February? Is it February? Avengers? It's not.
I don't remember.
All right. Okay. Can I say something real quick about Avengers? Like the game, real quick.
Sure.
I just want to point out that Square Enix runs one of the most, the second most popular MMO in the world right now, and that is not a disgusting microtransaction mess. So I'm not too worried about it.
Is that Final Fantasy?
Yes, Final Fantasy 14 is huge.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see.
So Arlen, you have your number 5 to give.
Yeah, I guess it would go to me. I'm gonna get my weirdest one, the one that I'm sure people scratch their heads at every single year, out of the way. This is a music pick. And as usual, I have a very specific taste in music, which is easily identifiable. And this is Sharon Van Etten's album, Remind Me Tomorrow. I put a song in our chat so people can give it a shot if they want to. It's going to be in the notes.
To it right now.
I don't expect anybody to have anything to say about this.
Play the clip.
Play the clip, and then we all just sit in silence listening to it.
And occasionally like, this is good. I like this.
Yeah, it's very, I don't know. She gets compared to Springsteen a lot.
What?
Wait, what? I'm listening to the song. What?
She does. Just wait. Just give it a minute. Just give it a sec.
Like, it's interesting. Like, I would say it's kind of like, it
picks up, I will say.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like electronic-y folk.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very distinct. I've listened to this album multiple times.
Really familiar.
Throughout the year. It's just been like a constant thing that I go back to when I'm like, I need music now, and I don't want to
that's
think
why.
about it.
She was in Twin Peaks for in episode 6. What?
Yeah. Yeah, she's one of the people from Twin Peaks. from the return from the musical segments. She's also in the OA as one of the
OA.
Not I forgot how to say this. One of the
volleyball game
in the OA.
Oh, she was one of the people that was being held by Draco Malfoy's dad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, she's the one who sings in the OA.
It's been a while since I saw that show. Since the first season, my wife and I enjoyed up until the very end. We're like, so you're fucking telling me interpretive dance saved these people?
Hell yeah!
That's the point where that show breaks. Where interpretive dance saves the day. Yeah, and they try to justify it in season 2, and I was like, no.
Haven't even tried it yet. Have not tried season 2 yet. Not gonna bother.
I'm all set.
Yeah, that's my pick. Again, I didn't expect a lot to come out of that, but I wanted to put a music pick in there. So
I mean, I picked an album last year, and I've been listening to that album since it
picked
came
an album
out.
too last year.
Yeah.
I haven't stopped listening to Noir from Baby Nation because that album's fucking perfect. But now I have to wait another decade for them to release something else or something like that. And they're the only artist of that genre I've listened to since high school who's still consistently working. Everyone else has like disbanded, died, is still a band, but for some reason doesn't have any of the original members, but still calls himself a band and doesn't release any material. I don't know why they're still. It's this band called. Yeah, they're called the Poptigma Berserk, and like they were a Norwegian like electronic rock industrial band. And then like in 2006, they're like every member has left except the singer, and they're gonna do live shows. And then they have some,
right, or Guns N' Roses before they all came back.
Yeah,
Gene Simmons ate the other members of Kiss. Let's be real.
The only thing they've done is a cover of Major Tom in the last 10 years. That's it. That is the only thing they've done. And somehow they're still on tour. I don't get it.
Because they're like, if Kiss can do it, why can't we? They haven't done anything in
Let's sell a coffin.
years.
Exactly. Yeah. Selling air.
And the last thing Kiss did was Gene Simmons' son got in trouble for tracing other anime
plagiarizing Bleach, if I remember correctly.
Are you fucking kidding me?
It's so
you never heard that story?
Yeah, I put that story up a few times. Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so funny. It's straight up he traced it.
That's actually hilarious.
And then tried to claim it was an homage, and he was influenced by all types of manga. So
sure.
Yeah. Eat my dick, Spawn of Simmons. All right. So I guess I'll move on to my number 4, which also conveniently John, who could not be here tonight, also had on his list, and it's Jedi Fallen Order, which is shocking to me that I would be saying an EA-based Star Wars game is on my top 5 of the year. But holy shit, that game is amazing. Like it is everything I wanted out of a single-player Star Wars game.
Really good. I'm kind of like slowly making my way through it because I don't want to rush through it because like I'm just enjoying that much.
The thing is, I think it's hard to rush through it because there's so much stuff to do. Like, I kept playing and was like, "Is this? Oh no, it's not. Okay. Oh, this is. Oh, okay." Mm-hmm. Like every time I thought I was getting to a point that I was near the end, I found something new, and then when I got to the end, I'm like, "Yeah, this makes sense. This is a good end."
I really like the kid in that game. I keep forgetting his name.
Monaghan.
He's really good in that.
I actually think he's kind of boring of a character.
The character's one thing, but I think his performance is fine. And Cameron Monaghan is, let's all just come out and say it, is the best thing we've ever gotten from Gotham. Okay.
Well,
I mean,
I would say out of all the characters in that game, he is the least interesting out of all of them.
I don't know. I really like him.
Well, my favorite thing about the game, which connects to like other stuff that's been happening this year, is the way it is sewing together the canon a little bit tighter.
Yeah,
connecting to other things was so awesome.
There's things that happen and people who show up and like, oh, okay.
There's one particular appearance towards the end of the game that I stumbled upon by accident on YouTube and still had a reaction to it as if I was playing it in real time. Do we care about spoiling this for those who have played it?
I know the spoiler, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, yeah.
I know
and
nothing.
I think before we go any further, I think it's just fair that we share spoilers on this. Like, honestly, if we're talking about top 5 of the year, I'm not going to fucking tap dance around things.
We're going to spoil things. So here's your fucking warning.
So anyway, Jar Jar Binks
I'll forget by the time I ever play this game. So sure.
Exactly. You'll play it in 5 years. Towards the end of the game...
Exactly.
Yeah, towards the end of the game, from my understanding, there is a boss fight that then transitions into a boss encounter, because it's not a fight, from what I understand. Darth Vader shows up and makes you shit your pants, basically.
Oh, yes. Yeah. It shows how much more powerful he is than, like...
I knew about this
Jedi.
Yeah. Apparently it's terrifying. It's just...
Oh, yes.
He shows up and he goes, "It would be wise for you to surrender." And Cameron Monaghan's character goes, "Yeah, it would be."
It's you don't have the option to fight him. You're just trying to escape him.
You're trying not to die.
Yeah, I like that we've gone that far from Force Unleashed, which is where like you get to fucking ragdoll Darth Vader through a Star Destroyer, blow his legs off, and cut his helmet off, and then cut his arm off. Like,
say what you want about Force Unleashed, like it is like trying to do something.
At the time, the tech was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that it was even made, honestly.
Yeah. Which, to jump in, like, story-wise, though, it's like, to go into the tying thing and not dance around, it's like, I love how it explains some more other things that happen to the Jedi post to Order, like Order 66 or whatever, as well as it directly ties into Rebels. Like,
it also ties into Force Awakens. It tells you where Starkiller Base came from.
Exactly, yeah.
It also ties into Rogue One.
Well,
Saw Gerrera shows up. Pretty sick.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Well, and Saw Gerrera's in Clone Wars, Rebels, Rogue One, and this.
To be fair, Saw Gerrera showing up. Saw Gerrera showing up is not that much of a surprise.
No,
to me.
but it's pretty cool when it happens.
Well,
he's like what's her name for the Netflix shows.
Most of Saw grew up properly, except for one eyelid.
I do love how
God damn it,
when he does show up, he just kind of pops in. It's so funny.
Well, if you see him in the Clone Wars, he's like normal, and then he gets like kind of jacked up, and he gets like real jacked up in Rebels, and then so the next thing would be this game, and so you're like, oh, he went through some shit between Rebels and this game.
One of my favorite things about the game, from what I've seen so far, because I haven't played it yet, but I've seen a bunch of footage on YouTube. One of the performances from that game was from an actress that I don't think anybody expected, which is Deborah Wilson, who is a Mad TV alumni.
Yeah, which is crazy.
She is, I think, the best part of that game, in all honesty.
She plays a Jedi Master, and it's a dramatic turn from someone who I've seen make Dr. Phil's head blow up when she's dressed up as Oprah Winfrey.
I would say not just her. The other actress that plays, I can't remember the character's name, but it's shit. She's been in so many things. The thing I think about her from is The League, because she was Shiva Kamini. But she was in Arrow.
The Night Sister.
No, she's the one that plays
the Inquisitor.
Yes, the Inquisitor.
Who plays the alien pilot that I can never remember the name of? Who's that guy? Because he sounds familiar to me.
He does. Yeah, I'm not sure.
He's pretty great too. I like that guy.
Yeah, I mean, just like it does.
The Night Sisters ties directly into Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right.
And Darth Maul.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that was the thing I noticed when I went to that planet. I was like, wait a minute. Oh my god, it's a bunch of Darth Mauls. This is awesome. Like,
all the stuff that she tells you about all happens in Clone Wars, the show.
Okay.
But I mean, that's a great way to get Clone Wars canon into the larger public. For people who are like,
that show's
I'm not watching that show.
That show's coming back in like 2 months, I think. In
what?
February.
I chose the perfect time to start it again. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But with Jedi Fallen Order, like the comparisons to Dark Souls are fair, but they're not as.
It's not.
It's just the combat style.
As the person on the show who's played the most of all of us, I can look at that and go, okay, comparisons are surface level, but like the mechanics, I can look at it go are completely different.
It's closer to God of War than it is Dark Souls, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's got like the save points that respawn enemies, and when you die, you can go back and get all your experience and health back. Actually, when you hit an enemy that killed you, which that's same but different than Dark Souls. But it is punishing to an extent, but not on Dark Souls level. Like it expects you to be smart and learn, but not on the same level that Dark Souls does. Like it's it's holding your hand a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, Daniel Roebuck?
Yeah, he was playing Grizz.
Yeah, I want to correct myself. I flipped. So the person I was talking about was in Battlefront 2 stuff. The woman that plays the other one,
Jenica Vonkar or whatever.
She's really into Star Wars.
She does show up in this game, does she not?
Not as the same character. Not as the same character.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
No, but the actress that plays the other character is from Mayans.
Yeah,
and like Scandal and stuff like that.
Okay.
Wasn't she also on True Blood?
Probably.
Yeah, she was. She played a were panther or something.
I don't know.
What? Huh?
No, this character.
Sure.
This actress was not on True Blood.
You can tell me anything about True Blood, and I'd be like, sure, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Janine Gavankar? Is that not?
Yeah, that's who I'm thinking of.
She was on True Blood. She played a were. What was she? She was a shifter. That's right. She was a shapeshifter.
Yeah, that's not the person who plays Trilla.
She is Geneva or whatever her name is. She's really super into Star Wars, and that's how she got the job at EA.
She's also just into video games. She's on Giant Bomb's Game of the Year, E3 every year so far. It's pretty great.
Awesome. Like she's amazing.
Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah. But yeah, so that's my number 4. It's a great game, and even if you know all the things that happen, it's still worth playing because it's a ton of fun. Like it's
fucking great.
It has some issues, like, your lightsaber doesn't feel quite as powerful as they make it out to be, but even then, like, it's still a great Star Wars game, and we don't see many of those anymore.
Yeah, and I would say, like, of a video game, the way it could have ended, they chose the best narrative ending.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's the only way the game should end.
Yep. Yeah. So it's totally worth picking up in 5 years.
One final thought. I do like the setup of what the game's mission is, where you find this the Jedi holocron, right? And it's got a list of kids who are force sensitive.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So and of course the Empire fucking want that. So it makes everything kind of just fit nicely into place.
Yeah.
Yeah. It fits with the canon that they've established. So Eric, what you were saying, it kind of assuages some of my fears, because the only reason I wasn't like, I'm going to put up the $50 and go get this, is I had heard some of those comparisons about how the difficulty level and things like that, and it kind of scared me a little bit.
You can
here's what I'll say about Dark Souls combat and other video games, because this is going to be. Remember when Minecraft came out and all of a sudden crafting was in every fucking video game you could think of?
Right.
Hell yeah.
Dark Souls combat is slowly becoming a third-person industry standard.
Minecraft.
The thing is,
becoming the new Batman Arkham.
Well, the thing is, the only people who understand how the nuances of Dark Souls combat work are the people who make Dark Souls, and everyone else doesn't get it to either your advantage or your disadvantage.
Yeah, it's like in the game, I found myself like only during boss fights would I really use the lightsaber. Otherwise, I would just try to push people off the cliffs.
And in a game like Lords of the Fallen, which is like the first big Dark Souls ripoff, is a deplorably bad game because it just fucking broken. It doesn't work.
I remember when that game came out.
That game is terrible.
To go back to what Arlen was asking me though, like I've played Dark Souls 1 and I played Dark Souls 3, and it's definitely not comparable to that, but it's pulling, like Connor was saying, aspects that people who I think actually understood what they were pulling from to make the game work well.
Yes.
Like they're not wholesale pulling the combat system. They're just pulling elements that work well for the story and gameplay they're trying to tell. So I would
say it's not a combat heavy game either. Like you really don't need to be in combat that much.
No, you run into combat in areas that have like groupings of
it's much more like a puzzle solving with your abilities. Like the most annoying thing to me was like the jumping was very
Yeah, the jumping is a little bit loopy until you get your double jump, but
yeah, which takes a long fucking time.
The platforming in it sucks at first.
And the other thing about Dark Souls is that like Dark Souls likes to trick you into thinking that the encounter you're about to have is going to be easy, but then like what looks like a rudimentary enemy chunks off a quarter of your health bar, and you're like, oh, I need to be careful about everything. Whereas I think in Fallen Order, you can walk out to some stormtroopers and go, fuck off. Like,
stormtroopers are always kind of like cannon fodder, but it's when you get the other troopers. Yeah. And then it's like, oh my god, they're so strong. And then once you go through the game and then you come back and like, oh, I actually have all my force abilities. Now I can just chuck you off a goddamn cliff. If you don't want to use the force abilities, you can actually go into lightsaber combat, and it works that you actually can use it well against them and still take care of them, because as you play, you're learning how to use the lightsaber well, because they're presenting you with more difficult fights as you continue through the game. Or you can do like Lou does and just use all your force powers all the time.
Okay.
Well, if I'm gonna be a goddamn space wizard, I'm gonna fucking be a space wizard.
I get that.
In Force Unleashed, if I had the option to throw someone out of a fucking spaceship window, I did every time.
Right.
And I say this by also going back to the Force is not magic.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not magic.
So it might become my late up for 2020. Is what I'm getting.
Yeah,
you
should give it a try. Yeah, if you can find it used somewhere, do it, or even scour eBay. People will sell games used cheap on there.
And that's what I'm waiting for that game, for Control, for another one that I can't remember the name of.
I would say, speaking of the top 5, this game is probably in the top 5 best Star Wars games.
Yeah, easily, because a lot of those PC games don't count.
I don't know. Rogue Squadron is pretty good.
Yeah, Rogue Squadron is great, but there are only 2 of them.
I don't count the racer games though. Any of the racing games I take out because they're not real games.
You don't like the kart racing game? What?
And then take out all the FMV games as well, because they aren't really games. So,
right, yeah.
Every FMV game is not really a game.
I don't know. Tim Curry saying space is pretty great.
Well, but that's an FMV in a game. That's not a game that is an FMV. Except for Sewer Shark. Sewer Shark is the best FMV game that ever existed. We're done with this conversation.
Niner, left.
Okay, I think it's time to go to Connor's pick.
Alrighty then, and this is actually from 2019. I swear to God. So number 4 is Dragon Ball Super Broly.
All right, that's on my list too.
Fuck yes.
That movie I fucking rules.
I've thought about this a lot, and I watched it again just to see if all the stuff I liked about it held up. Not only does it hold up, but a lot of things stood out a lot more this time. Specifically, I was blown away the second time by a POV tracking shot during a fist fight from Broly's perspective.
So fucking
it is fucking nuts, and it's like a minute and a half long, and for an animation, that's long. And it is straight up, Broly is punching Goku through mountains, and all you see is his fists and Goku's body.
I like how Broly is actually a person. This one.
Broly's actually.
You mean Broly is actually by a baby?
He's not a meat colossus being used like a bat.
Broly is the devil.
He's not. He's not the Rancor being unleashed on somebody.
Yes, and that's what I'll address that directly. This movie sets him up as someone who. He's put in the same birthing chamber as Vegeta, and King Vegeta is like, who is this pissant and what is he doing next to my son? And he's like, they say, well, he's got a massive power potential and we think he can be of great service to our planet. He's like, get him the fuck off this planet and send him somewhere else.
Well, it's a little bit more than that, actually. He's like, what? And then they look at the power level with their original scouters, which there's a whole bunch of retconning that's interesting in it, but
now, they retcon Goku's origin and make Bardock less of a fucking. Bardock doesn't have psychic powers. Instead, he's like, I have a bad feeling about Frieza assembling his entire army on our planet, so I'm going to get our kid out of here.
2 things I have to say: I can see the future, and then number 2, we get to see Goku's mom.
Yes, Goku's mother.
And they doubled down. They doubled down on Goku being Superman.
Yeah, it's the same thing because Frieza's army shows up, and this is it's Frieza's inauguration day as the new whatever the fuck, Overlord of the universe.
Yeah, his dad, who was not barely a character before, gets like, "Oh, I've been the Emperor of the Universe for so long. I'm going to retire.
I'm giving everything to my son now." And Frieza immediately is like, "I'm a space racist and I hate all you monkeys. So get everyone here. We're blowing up this planet."
I'm a space racist.
Yeah,
that's a great term.
But the whole setup is like, they show you Goku being raised on Earth, Vegeta being raised by other Saiyans, and Broly having to raise himself on this inhospitable planet by himself with just his dad.
Well, with his sadistic-ass father.
His sadistic-ass father who only wants to use Broly as a method of revenge against Frieza. But then, about half an hour in, Frieza discovers Broly is like, "Oh, I could just send this freak to Earth and have Vegeta, Goku, and this thing just kill each other."
Oh. Yeah, he's just like, "Oh, I can have my own pet Saiyan?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and from that point on, the last 40 minutes of the movie is fighting. That's it. And it's mesmerizing the whole fucking time. Yeah, there she is.
Well, that's the other thing. The animation is completely different than any of
the animation's gotten such an upgrade. It's not even funny.
Because it's like I don't say pastel, but it's like more like
colors are subdued. Yes, like Goku's orange is not. It's a little more brown, and like everything else is a little more subdued and like not quite as bright. But then like there's extreme close-ups of people's emotions. There's tracking shots. There's very little CGI used, and a lot of it is hand animated. And some of the hand animated sequences are nuts.
The CGI is used to do like their auras and stuff like that.
It's for effects. The music is great. The voice acting is like another level for this stuff. It's actually
both American
funny
and Japanese are like the voice acting is amazing.
The comedy is really good. Like Frieza wants the Dragon Balls because he wants to be 5 inches taller. Bulma wants the Dragon Balls so she could be 5 years younger, and only 5 years because 10 years is too noticeable.
She says like, "Oh, if I make myself younger, then people will notice." So every year I get them, I make myself like 2 years younger.
Yes, and Frieza wants them, and someone says, "Why not just make yourself 10 centimeters taller?" And he's like, "Because then people would notice."
I feel like he even mentions his brother. I don't remember if that's.
I think he does. There's also my favorite sequence is Frieza's watching Broly kind of get wrecked by Goku and Vegeta at this point, and Paragus, Broly's father, is like, "I think this is it. Like, I don't think Broly has anything left." And Frieza goes, maybe not. Turns around and murders Paragus. And he turns around and goes, Broly, how tragic! A stray laser beam has killed your father. And then Broly goes,
don't they even flash back to when he kills Krillin?
He has an immediate flashback to killing Krillin, and then he remembers that's how Goku went Super Saiyan. So he does the same thing. Broly goes Super Saiyan, and then Frieza's like,
wow.
And then it comes the best part of the goddamn movie.
The best joke of the movie is that Goku is like, "Oh, this is ridiculous." Grabs Vegeta, flies up to Frieza's face and goes, "Have fun, Frieza," and teleports him and Vegeta out of there while Broly then bodies Frieza for 2 hours.
Yes, because every time, so they have to train to do the fusion, and they do the fusion. It takes them 3 tries to get it right. So each time it's a half hour. So like they're doing it, and they keep cutting back, and like Frieza's just getting fucking pummeled.
He's just screaming the whole time while Broly is like grabbing him by the ankles and hurling him into volcanoes. He's kicking him through the air. He's just energy blasting him left and fucking right. And I think the last 15 minutes is Gogeta now being canon.
Yes, Gogeta is canon, including Gogeta Blue.
Yeah.
I love how Frieza is an ally now because he's basically just Vegeta but kind of like shittier.
Well, yeah,
he's an antagonist more.
Well, but he's fangless. You know what I mean?
Well,
and he has fangs.
But the current arc, the last arc that aired was the universe survival arc, and Goku personally enlists Frieza to help him fight for the survival of their universe. And Frieza and Goku at some point willingly team up, and it's one of the best moments of the entire series.
Oh yeah, he teams up with everybody. He's super smart about it, but he's still like, I need to kill. Like, if I can just get rid of him and Vegeta, then no one is left to stand in my way.
Yeah, he still has ambitions to rule the universe again, but every now and then he's like, yeah, sure, it might be fun. But that movie is awesome, and I can't believe that a Dragon Ball movie is one of my favorite movies of the year.
Didn't it chart in the US even?
It made $30 million in the US. I think its opening weekend. I think it was $30 million.
No, so it was $8.5 million budget. It made $9 million, almost $10 million opening weekend in the US.
Okay, that's what it was. I think collective box office take was $30 million.
No, just the US was 30 million, almost 31, and the worldwide was 114 million.
Holy fuck! Those guys are set for life.
Oh my god, that's nuts. But yeah, it's cool to have Dragon Ball back to that level. I didn't think I'd live to see it, so yeah, it's number 4.
Dragon Ball rules.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I think it's Hunter next, right? Unless Lou.
Mine's The Witcher.
That's like my 4.
Oh, yours is The Witcher. So I think we'd go to another one of Hunter's then. I think by the rules.
Well, did everybody do their 4? Eric didn't do your
number. Yeah, I did. Mine was
Order.
Yeah, it was Fallen Order.
Yeah.
No, Arlen, you should do your number 4.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Do your 4th one, nerd.
I just wanted to make sure we're being fair. That's all. Okay, mine is one that I assume it's on other people's list. It's fucking Watchmen because fuck yeah,
that was my number 2.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I forgot that happened already too.
Yeah, that was my number 2. Yeah,
mine's not on my list because I knew one of you guys would have it. But
my list isn't numbered. I'm just going in order when I decide to say these.
These aren't like mine's not listed like order of preference. It's just where I decided to place them. It's very arbitrary.
Mine's definitely in order of preference.
Yeah, mine is too. Yeah,
but yeah, Watchmen's fucking great. I mean, have we talked about it since that first episode we released? Or
no,
I think so. No,
other than in chat, no, we have not talked about it on air.
So
we only saw Blue Dick twice, which was disappointing.
As of this recording,
we didn't see the whole hog. We
didn't
see the snap. Yeah.
As of this recording, I still have not seen the last 2 episodes, but I'll get around to that soon. I know I kind of
not seen the Blue Dick.
I've kind of had I've kind of had a lot of things spoiled for me because of the nature of the internet, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, like Blue Dick.
Name was mostly people getting upset about certain things and then just blatantly blasting spoilers over the place.
Well, why don't we let Arlen talk about why he thought this should be on his list before we devolve into the weeds?
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I could get lost in the weeds very easily.
Yeah.
It's not just the Blue Dick. The Blue Dick is part of it also. So this show did. I'm a big TV watcher. I think if there's a form of media that I experience more than any other, it's that and podcasts. That's just those are my homes. That's my bed that I go back to more than anything else. At least in terms of like hours. And for me, what makes good TV is a couple of very specific aspects. But the number one is how engrossed I get in the world. And TV, more than any other medium, I can get lost in not being able to see the specifics of what's going on very easily.
100%.
With films, even films that I love, I can find myself in the theater. Yeah, I know what's going to happen in 10 minutes. I know exactly what's going to happen in 10 minutes. In TV, even if I am like, well, clearly he's Hood of Justice because of this Bass Reeves thing, I don't really find myself saying, I know exactly who the bad guy is, or I know exactly what the evil plan is. Even if I predict bits and pieces of it, I am still able to just watch it and just be sucked in to the drama, especially in a show where the characters are so well written, and where the character dynamics are so well fleshed out and authentic to the dynamics set forward for set by some of these characters in previous incarnations, of course, but also the way that these new characters interact and sort of conflict with those older characters and their interactions. And there are characters that are only on screen for like 5 minutes, but it feels like I am reading the original Watchmen all over again. It feels like I'm looking at the pages and reading the way that Sally talks to Veidt. In, again, just a few minutes of Gene Smart, and I cannot believe I'm forgetting the actor who played Veidt's name.
Jeremy Irons.
They just bring
Alfred,
it to life. It's like the pages are coming out of the screen. It's just, it's fantastic.
And I would just say, like, as the person who I think was the most pessimistic about this coming out,
yeah,
I was completely turned around in 2 episodes.
Yep. And
it was goddamn fantastic. And I would recommend it over the movie. It's to anybody.
Yeah.
I'm saving my thoughts on this for one of my biggest letdowns of the year, so I'm kind of trying to reserve a lot of energy.
This show had no right to be as good as it was.
And
I agree.
And especially with how much Damon Lindelof got in front of it and could have easily tripped it up.
Oh yeah,
because he was doing a real good job of doing that in the beginning, and then just
letting
it go and just be its thing. Finally, it was just like, holy shit! Like he did something that should be impossible. He took a comic that was 30 years old and made a functioning and beyond functioning a amazing sequel to it that touches on a lot of things that the original comic did, but then kept you guessing the whole time, because he was definitely playing homage with a lot of things, but then he would completely switch the script on what was happening with the character types or the archetypes of these characters that he was playing up again.
Yep.
And it was never hollow callbacks. That's the other important thing. I've heard people say that there are hollow callbacks, and I don't think there's anything hollow in this show.
No, I don't think there's a single thing.
It's the exact opposite. Like, everything has so much meaning. This has one of the best additional characters to the story. Like, I love Looking Glass as a character.
Okay, now I can chime in. That is the most Watchmen-y addition to this show, to the existing universe. Like that, I'm like, of course, you would have a character like that who is a direct response to the horror of what happened at the end of the Watchmen.
Yes.
And seeing what happened,
and to have a kind of like vigilante, a gimmick that is, that is like the mirror, basically. Yeah. And based on something from that event, I'm like, that fits in seamlessly. Like, he fits in more than was it Red Scare and the rest of the other people who were dressed up? I'm like, no, Looking Glass
Red
fits
Scare
in so much better.
This is the only one that really, really fits. Like, why the fuck is there a dude dressed as Panda, and why is he a little bitch? But
here's the thing: I don't need to know everything about those characters.
No.
As I've said before, I have no problem with further seasons exploring individual characters as long as they're written well. I want to reemphasize.
I'd rather than go somewhere else.
Yep.
I agree.
I think we all agree, but here's the thing, though. Like, HBO got out and saw the success of that show and went and changed their logo to a fucking Dr. Manhattan circle. And they were like Game of Thrones. This is our new shit. So like, we're getting multiple seasons.
And I think we talked about when we covered in that one podcast, like, the biggest detriment to this show was Lindelof, his non-committal stuff in the beginning.
Shut the fuck up, Damon!
Yes, exactly. I've been saying that
he hurt the show itself. Yeah, because I feel like that's one of the things where I was like reprehensible. I'm like, well, it can't not be a sequel or like a reinterpretation. It's one or the other.
Yeah, right. And you're either going to deny it or deny it. Like, that's the only way he should have done things with this show. Yep. He shouldn't have said a single thing, because I understand not wanting to say that this one is a sequel. I understand wanting to keep that mum. Because if you do, there are expectations that come with that. But I think that when you let the show speak for itself, I think people are okay with it.
And I know this from, like, I went up to my old hometown during the Christmas break, and like, I talked to people like, oh, you got, like, Watchmen was so good. And it's like, I didn't really like the movie, and I'm like, it has nothing to do with the goddamn movie. Watch this show.
The movie. Here's the thing: I haven't watched the movie in a while. I kind of hate the movie now. I probably need to watch it.
I've watched it recently. It's still just as good as I remember.
Yeah, the movie is still good. It's a very literal, with the exception of one thing, an adaptation of the comic. And I mean, there were a few minor additions, like the ultra violence of Laurie and Dan fighting the top dogs in the alley.
That was weird.
So the thing, so that kind of gets to why I think I might hate it, which is, so there's a ongoing bit in the show where there's a TV show in the show called American Hero Story.
Yes,
and as I'm watching it, I'm thinking, this is the movie.
I think it's actually them addressing that.
It is them addressing that, and as I watch, I'm like, I don't know if I can take the movie serious now because of this. It's again, I haven't seen it recently, so I might.
I also think it's a movie of the time period, and it's Snyder at the maximum power.
Also, like
himself.
That might be my problem. That might be my issue.
But a lot of people will think about that, but forget about some of like the really, really good shit in that movie. Like, I'm sorry, but the Dr. Manhattan stretch in that movie with his origin is untouchable. It's beautiful. It's perfect.
I'm not saying there aren't good things in the film. There are good.
I still look at that guy. I'm like,
I still maintain there's more good in that movie than bad. And like one of the things that jumped out at me actually that I didn't remember was because I watched it recently was when after Rorschach dies and Night Owl goes back inside and starts punching on Veidt, a lot of people were like, "Oh, that wouldn't happen." I'm like, "Yes, it absolutely would. Like, you'd have no other recourse than you just have an outburst." And like, what he says to Veidt, I thought was great. He's like, "You haven't helped mankind. You perverted it. You destroyed it." He's like, "Your idea of peace is so horrid."
Well, also from Veidt's point of view, he still sees them as friends.
He's letting him punch him.
He's not going to fight back with somebody who he thinks he can still have a friendship with afterwards. Well, I don't think he can.
I would say it's more like he knows
he can use him in some way. He's more a shit,
and he respects him enough to be like that. They're in on it, so they're the only people that will know it's him. Which gets me.
And I love his reaction. Like he's fucking hitting me. He's like, "Dude, fight me." He's like, "Dan, stop."
Yeah. Well, Adrian is the smartest man on Earth outside of John, and John isn't even the smartest man. He's
not a man.
No, exactly.
Right.
And he still can't really. He can't reconcile his powers enough in a way that humanity could understand it.
But he doesn't see it the same way. Like he's like,
and that's part of what made this season so good.
That goes
and
into
it's the thing in the movie that I do think holds up probably the best is the way that
it goes into what Alan Moore wrote. It's about like if there was a superhuman, like a real Superman, like how disconnected they would be from humanity.
Yeah.
Which is like to go to like a Superman stories, like those are the better stories of Superman in dealing with that struggle to be a human.
Yes, yeah, and well that thread has made its way into a million other characters.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I want to say
even Superman.
In regards to the show, though, I want to say like it's because the movie is an adaptation of the comics, but like every subsequent attempt to make like peripheral material to the comic book has fucking failed. It's all terrible.
Well,
I've never read before Watchmen. I've heard nothing basically about it.
I read all of them, and the one about Hooded Justice. And God, who is it? The character that was boning down on Hooded Justice. That wasn't
Metropolis.
Thank you, Captain Metropolis. That wasn't half bad. And the one about Laurie that was drawn by Amanda Connors was actually pretty good. Outside of that, everything else was kind of pointless. It's
right.
It's just one of the things I would say like about the show is like the show feels like the most to go to the guy who wrote the book. Alan Moore, like it feels like if Alan Moore was Alan Moore today. This is what he would do with that story.
Yeah.
And we don't mean today's Alan Moore.
No, not today. No. Alan Moore of that period alive.
We need Alan Moore before he was horribly screwed over by DC.
Right.
The three things I wanted to point out real quick is, one, it's unfair to try and say that you feel that the Watchmen movie is anything other than a direct adaptation, because you can't really separate the two. It is hand in glove the comic book with the very few exceptions.
To go to like another movie we just watched, it's the same thing as Sin City in many ways.
Yes, exactly. It is faithful to a negative point to an extent. The second thing I wanted to say was they showed the fucking squid in the show. They showed the fucking squid, and it's amazing. And Damon Lindelof, I think, was quoted as saying like, within the first hour of them getting the green light from HBO to do this, he had said to his room, "We're showing the squid."
Right. I'm glad they did, because they made it fucking scary looking.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: there's no way that's not make. You have to be like, okay, so are we showing the squid or are we not showing the squid? And I'm glad that they went with squid.
Well, they had to. Yeah. It made Looking Glass's story that much more impactful.
And it makes narrative sense. Like it makes so much more sense to have.
It does.
And like I said, I want to like double down on what I just said. Like the interpretation of the TV show version versus the comic book version is terrifying. Because you can't really see it, and it's just laid up against this fucking building, and its tentacles are everywhere.
It's goofy.
The comic version is very colorful. It's all purple and green.
It's also it's the thing of comics. It's static. It's that art from the 80s.
Yeah, and this thing you got a fantastic idea of its actual scale because like it's laid out over like 6 buildings.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, and it's spread everywhere. And it's just this fucking burnt, charred husk of a thing you can't really properly identify. It is appropriately Lovecraftian.
There's a weight to that also.
When we see it, he's in Hoboken, I think.
Right. And they pan across the...
because he's across the river.
Yeah, they pan across the river.
It does a very similar thing that the end of Infinity War does, when you're seeing all those people just, like, turn to dust, those random people on the street. When you're seeing Nick, it does a similar thing where the 9/11 parallels are instantly, like, evoked in your mind, and you're like, oh, this is like 5 9/11s or 15 9/11s at the same time.
Well, yeah, because it's unidentifiable to people at the time. Because it's not human evil. It is human evil, but they don't know. It's something from beyond our world has
that,
done this
and the psychic blast part of it too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. The third point I wanted to make, though, the thing that made me realize how much I love the show was every time I finished watching, I was in like 4 separate chats with people to talk about it. The minute I finished watching, I was like, holy shit. I think you and me were talking about it in this. Yeah, I was talking to Harrison from Pixels. I was talking to my friend Jeff, who let me use his HBO to watch it. Like, it did everything that it possibly could correctly. And I honestly have no issues with the series at all. Like, there was nothing I was unhappy with.
Have we brought up the score yet, also, by the way? We need to talk about the score.
Andy will strangle us if we don't.
It's so good.
Why should we abide by that curse throwing motherfucker?
I know that he's obsessed with the score.
Well, and that's the other thing with the score is when they released it on vinyl, there was actually further things for this world that they explained. Like, there was more flavor text within the liner notes of the album.
That's so awesome.
Does the thing that I think I was saying that I loved about the book is that there are those epistolary sections where it's just like a file on Dr. Manhattan or something.
Well, I would say that's a very 80s thing, only because in the comic show we read Crisis, and Crisis does that as well.
But Watchmen did it in a different way. Where
they came out
better.
It's actually so crazy that like those two and Dark Knight Returns came out in basically the same year.
Yeah,
right.
Over the same period of time, it's like the 1986 to like beginning of 88 is like the craziest time for comic books.
Because Returns does that, but it does it within the confines of the page by hitting those constant news beats. It's serving the same purpose, but it's giving you to it inside the story as opposed to outside.
And that's what Crisis does that. And then there's like I can't remember which issue, but there's an issue where you go into a character's journal, I think. Is like at the bottom of the pages. And it's just like, but
no.
Yeah. And so it's like, I guess it's just like a thing of that time period because you have like 3 different writers and artists doing kind of similar things. Which, and again, Crisis and Watchmen are tied together forever because the reason that those characters are those characters is because of Crisis. And DC was like, you can't use the Charlton characters.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, there's so much about it. If there is another season, I'm going to rewatch this entire season.
Well, that's the thing Lindelof has said. Like, he has no ideas for another season, and he let this sit for a few years until something comes to him. And if it doesn't, he's happy with this. Good. But if somebody else decides they have something great, then he's cool with it.
Yeah, but as long as HBO commits to that, as long as they don't pull a True Detective and be like, rush to season 2, no, give us season 2.
I would say doing the True Detective thing where it's like, the part of it I wouldn't mind is if somebody does like, all right, here's a set of characters. Like if someone was like, all right, this is this show.
That's what I've been pitching for months.
Where's Night Owl? If someone
that's
was
what I've been saying,
Like, let's do the Night Owl show post Watchmen. because he wasn't in the show.
Rush it. Yeah, just don't rush it. That's what happened with season 2.
I want to see somebody do Oz, but it's Night Owl in jail, and that's the whole show.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd be into that. As I said, I would love to see what Russia is like in this universe, because we don't know outside of I don't know, the beginning of the movie and little tidbits in the comic that I barely remember. But what, or if you're Russian in Russia seeing footage of Dr. Manhattan, what's your reaction?
Or not just Russia, but China and Asia. The U.S. has a state in Asia.
Mm-hmm.
What does that do to that?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And how does it undermine communism? That's got to be fascinating. There must be Dr. Manhattan cults. Obviously, there must be. That kind of stuff would be fascinating to me.
Which has been done in comics for different characters and for awesome stories. Because is it in Kingdom Come? There's a Superman cult.
I think so. Yeah.
And I can't remember. In Marvel, did a book where there's a Captain Marvel cult.
Right.
I'm not sure.
That's just called sorry.
But yeah, Red Scare. What's his story? And I don't need a story of him as a child. Or if Red Scare's a side character,
he's the character that annoyed me the most, because it's that whole problem of Arnold Schwarzenegger in movies. It's how can you be an undercover with the masked cop if your character is Red Scare and you have a Russian accent? Who the fuck is the one Russian guy in Oklahoma?
That is fair. Yeah. Well, so here's the thing: we never see his home life. For all we know, that accent is fake. That's what I want to know.
I don't love it. He says it when he's just with them and he's eating a sandwich with the lettuce, the cabbage, or whatever from the thing.
Yeah, from the racist.
Is the funniest fucking thing. Is there just one Russian guy in Oklahoma?
I mean, to be brutally honest, I could give two shits about Red Scare. I could give two shits about Pirate Jenny. Show me
I
don't
this. Need it, but why
show
not?
me this.
I don't remember who's Pirate Jenny. Is that the
she
chick?
was the one that the chick. Yeah, that was.
I really don't care about her. I really don't.
Show me the 90s in this universe when things were starting to go vigilantes. Show me what caused Laurie to finally decide to drop out of the superhero world.
Oh my god! And
absolutely,
she is kind of my favorite part of the show in many ways. You can do there's such a deep psychological dive you can just do on that character. Changing her name is a whole thing.
What's funny is that when she first showed up, I found her to be fucking grating, and not in the way it's intended. I was I get it. You're cynical. Shut up for 5 seconds.
I thought she was great.
I know. Eventually, she grew on me, but at first, the writing was leaning into her a little hard for me. Because every time someone spoke, she's like, "Fuck you." I'm like, "All right, I get it. You're pissed."
I love how she became her dad. It's such a good.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, and then I love that she has the blue vibrator and she goes to the phone.
Well, this was something else that shows how much HBO was trusting Lindelof, which they should after The Leftovers. The Pedopedia, the junior officer she took with her to Tulsa. He's
got his own blog.
He has his own blog, and one of the things he posted on that blog was the design specs for the Dr. Manhattan vibrator.
That's so funny.
Which, if I'm reading it correctly, was created by Dan's company, Laurie's ex-boyfriend or husband. Yes. Because it was made by Merlin Tech, and the name of his ship was Archimedes, which was
because he loves
Merlin's owl.
Oh my god!
God damn, he's a giant nerd.
There's so many things specifically for her.
I need Dan building tools to break out of prison, and we find.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If that show, Owlman or Night Owl or whatever his name is in prison, that is an awesome idea of a show.
I need that. Yeah, there's so many things. I mean, we need to know who Lube Man is. We still don't know who he is.
Oh my god, I forgot that was a thing.
Lube Man is Petey.
It's Petey.
I mean, he's clearly Petey, but
no, but they specifically tell you that in the Pedopedia article or a blog entry, because the last one is his boss saying hey, this is getting shut down. If anybody wants any of the garbage from his desk, which includes comic books, this, that, and a large amount of what seems to be personal lubricant.
Wait. Who is the Loop guy?
The junior officer that went to Tulsa.
Oh, I did not put that together.
I still need to know his backstory.
Oh well, they explain that
he's a super fan.
Yeah, he's a super fan, but his origin story was the book that Adrian is reading while he's in prison. I forget the name of it, but it's about a group of guys who were in Vietnam, I think, or in the Vietnam area. That basically the outfits they had, the lube they had on, fireproof, and they were. God damn it, I can't remember the name. I should have looked this up. But basically, yeah, he had written a story about these characters, and it was deemed terrible by whatever magazine he submitted it to, and that was kind of his origin story. Was that he wrote a bad story, and he turned into a superhero.
That's great.
Yeah, just look up the PDpedia stuff, or just even look up any articles about it, because it'll explain it better than I did right there.
Can I transition to, or has everyone done a fourth already?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay, because my third kind of connects to this, because it shares an actress, which is Jean Smart, and that would be the final season of Legion.
Yeah. No,
I didn't finish that yet because of the whole our review thing and all of that. So yeah, Lou, because when we aren't reviewing something, I don't finish it.
But it's so good. I hate you.
Are you retarded?
No, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong at all, Lou. You're correct. I'm the one who's in the.
There's a goddamn wrap off between Jason Mantzoukas and Jermaine Clement.
Yes. Wait.
Yes.
What?
Yes, that is in one of the episodes. It's actually where she comes back.
I'm sorry, everybody. I had to keep resetting Discord and logging in and logging out because for some reason they keep telling me my microphone's not present. But
fucking Discord.
So, all right. So to catch you up, my number 3 is Legion, the final season.
I thought I was after Eric, but whatever.
Well, I didn't even go to 3 yet because
Lou Discord kicked you out.
Lou had a transition, so we decided to go with.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Arlen never finished it, and his mind was
guess
blown.
what? Neither did I.
Yeah.
So do you know about the Jermaine Clement Jason Mantzoukas rap battle?
I had heard about it. Yeah.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is instead of waiting for each other to finish the show and to catch up, everybody just decided to watch it all. Because we weren't reviewing it.
I watched the show because I watched the show and I just happened to be on reviews. Like, what are you talking about?
Didn't the show ended like 6 months ago?
Yes, but I'm not okay.
What are you talking about?
I mean, that's on you, Arlen. Actually, I didn't watch it either, but that's on you.
Yeah.
Okay, Hunter.
And I would
Hunter just admitted to not watching any of it. Is that correct?
Wait, I want to rewind here. So, Arlen, you were under the impression that we only watched the show shortly before we were going to review.
I was going to watch it, but I was waiting for everybody else so we could review it. That was.
I will say I stopped because I think at that point I was feeling a little bit of the TV fatigue.
Right.
And between the CW seasons and everything else, thinking about Preacher and thinking about Legion and then thinking about Watchmen. I was like, I
put all that other stuff on pause and finished Legion.
Yes.
Yeah, I did.
It is up on Hulu now, if I remember correctly, the final
season. We got into the whole TV thing. We got deep in it, and I realized, this review isn't happening. So guess what? I didn't go back and finish it because
that sucks to be you. Because the show was
I'm just saying I didn't have time. I'm not blaming you.
All right. So besides, so it's just me and Eric are the only ones that watched it.
Yeah, and I know we were talking about spoilers, but I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear how the show ends on the show.
Okay, I'm not going to say how it ends. I'm just going to say everything is awesome. I love everything they do.
Yes.
And to go back to what we were talking about with music with Watchmen, fuck Watchmen because Legion's music is infinitely better. And the music is so good in this.
And he's gonna curse us again.
All right, no, I think
they could both be good, Lou. I don't know.
No, I think we're confusing the score, which is the
that's what I'm
music
talking
and background.
about.
Yeah, that was Atticus Ross and what's his face? Not Inch
Yeah, and they're like all-timers for scores right now.
Yes.
Like,
and I'm not talking about score. I'm talking about the soundtrack.
The soundtrack for Legion has been top-notch since episode 1.
Yeah, and well, the score for Legion has also been good. So I was like, I mean, yeah, they're comparable, I would say. Jeff Russo is a fantastic composer. He composed all of Fargo as well. So
the thing with Legion is, especially I noticed it in season 2 and 3, like the stuff I saw in 3, is that there was the score, and then the score would often lead into one of the covers that was supplied for the show of a song that fit thematically into an episode. Like I think the episode 1 for season 3 was the song they used was "Time Keeps Slipping Away."
Yeah.
And then,
Time
keeps on slipping. Yeah, but like the score was like the build up beat to that to the chorus, but it didn't go into it until the end of the episode.
It's very well integrated, very Spider-Verse in terms of how well integrated they are.
Well, even with that first episode where was it David was at the laundromat across the laundromat through the glass tube, and they have that musical number.
Yes.
Like even that was just like, oh my god, like you guys just know this is your last season and you're just going all out. And
they go all out. And the last thing I would say is I'm not finding this guy's name, but the guy that plays Xavier, I think is the second best live action Xavier we've ever had.
I 100% agree. 100% agree, because they didn't go super deep into the I'm Professor Xavier. Well, I'm in a chair.
It's the first time Xavier's never been Xaviered in a thing.
But does he? But does he know?
I mean, he does a fantastic job. He does a fantastic job.
No, he's been Professor X.
Well, he I love the mirror between the two of them.
I mean, he's the only one who hasn't been
Xavier,
secondary antagonist, like for no apparent reason. So, like, he automatically wins.
You mean he's the only one who hasn't done a third movie heel turn?
Right.
He is kind of antagonistic in like a
fatherly way.
The way the fatherly way, like his.
In the way fathers are.
Can I ask this question like a yes or no? Like, does he eventually to the point where he realizes what David is? And he's kind of horrified by him.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, all right, say no more.
Right. No, not that I'm remembering. No.
Okay.
Yeah, but like I would just say, like, if you thought season 1 and season 2 were insane and abstract and esoteric and all that goodness, you've seen nothing yet.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'll get around to finishing it soon.
I would say season 3 it's not the highs that season 2 has, because I mean it's hard to beat that
anime fight.
Was it the penultimate episode or was it the final episode?
It was the last. It was the second to last episode, I think, because they catch the Shadow King.
Yes,
and then the episode ends. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, because that penultimate episode was craziness, and that was just like, oh, Legion, you're doing some things. But this season 3, at least for me, sorry to hijack Lou, it felt like a quieter but more insane in some ways season than any of the other ones. Yeah, if you can understand what I mean.
Yeah, because you know everybody, so there's no time spent on explaining who is who.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one added character, and you're just like seeing what this world has become and where it is going. And it's like the unstoppable force is going to meet the immovable object, and what the hell's going to happen?
Yep. Yeah. And it pays off. It does. Yeah. So yes, go back and watch it, even though we're not reviewing it. And it's
okay. Do not judge my life choices, okay? It's one of those things with so much weight on you, you're like, do I want to do this? Even if it's something you like, you're like, but it's going to take hours. It's going to be time. It's
Bitch,
one of those
all I do is judge your life choices, so get to it.
That should be the name of the episode. Bitch, all I do is judge your life choices.
Well, okay, to be fair, you judge everybody's life choices, so I don't feel that special.
No, because you're not.
Wow, Eric. Wow. Okay, you are not forgiven. That's all I'll say.
That was my 3. So
I'll
hand it
I'll
off.
jump.
Do we go back to Eric?
Yeah, well, let's go back to me so we can continue to have some.
Well, was it Legion on your list
Legion
somewhere
was
else?
not on my list. No.
Okay.
Number 3 for me was The Mandalorian.
That is also my number 3.
That's my number 2.
Yeah, that
Hunter, have you gotten to
Not
go
on my
without
list,
your
but
number
it's
being
great.
called?
I no.
All right, well then I'll keep it brief. And Hunter, if you want to extrapolate some more on what I'm saying, but the show did so much right, and it paid tribute to so many different corners of the Star Wars universe that I didn't think it would, even without me knowing it would, because I would read all the stuff post show. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
It did so well in like establishing itself in the universe, where it's like it doesn't even really touch Jedis at all.
Nope.
I'm glad you brought that up, because here's my biggest takeaway from that show. I don't give a shit about the Jedi Order anymore, because I'm so sick of seeing it fail.
They're kind of shitty.
That's my next point. The Jedi are such fuckwits who let themselves get destroyed, who then, on their second resurgence, get utterly annihilated by a fucking Skywalker. I'm over this fucking story of these very.
Only somebody made a movie about all this.
I know. Almost someone to address this shit. I'm so over the very pompous kind of like very masturbatory legends of the Jedi when compared to a culture like the Mandalorians, who were unjustly fucking wiped out by like just imperial like indifference. Like, hey, we need your shit.
Yeah,
we need your shit. We need your plan. Get the fuck off.
Go ahead.
It's a little bit more.
I was just gonna say, I'm sure Luke can back me up. The Mandalorians, they're the kind of race where if you get them on your side, they're a massive advantage. So it was more like they're a gigantic threat, even if there's 100 of them.
Yeah, it's like you have to think of them like space Mongolians, and so it's like, oh, you have the Roman Empire coming. Do you guys want to join us? Why should we join you? We can direct you. All right, so it's like if you assimilate them, you'll win. Like you'll be unstoppable.
I'm saying is, at this point in the story, for their current existence, they deserve a story about being rebuilt and being rejuvenated.
Yes.
As compared to constantly having to watch the fucking light side, dark side battle. I don't give a shit about Jedi anymore. I really don't.
Yeah. Well, I would go ahead.
I was gonna say I would say go and find those episodes of Clone Wars and Rebels that are all about the Mandalorians. And that this show directly ties into with basically the final scene of the series.
We're talking about Cad Bane.
Like that was my thing watching this, is like the first 3 episodes. I'm like, all right, so this is what they're doing, and then they jump to a 7 Samurai, and then they jump to cosplaying Han Solo with a great Amy Sedaris.
and then Bill Burr shows up, and it's great.
And then the best episode of television ever.
But that's the thing. Like for me, I enjoyed them jumping and dipping their toes in different genres, and like I know there were a lot of people that were like, "Bro, this is inconsequential," but hey, guess what, motherfucker? You finished the series, and none of the episodes were inconsequential. Everything mattered.
My favorite part of that Bill Burr episode is that it turns into kind of like Alien or Predator.
For like 5 minutes, Mando becomes a slash villain. Like,
yes,
and we keep saying just Bill Burr, but it's Bill Burr of Mr. Krabs, who's in goddamn everything.
Yes.
And then what's her name?
Highlander.
Harry Potter and Game of Thrones. I can't remember her name.
She's really horny for Mando.
I thought that was her.
And the girl who
she's the wildling.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
That was Tonks. I didn't realize
that was not Tonks playing the Twi'lek. Okay, it's a different actress. That was what's her face? The woman who ran the Eyrie, who gets tossed out by Littlefinger.
No, it's not.
Fuck.
No,
yes, it is.
No. That's what's her name. That is the wildling.
Yeah, it's the wildling girl, dude.
It's
the girl who tries to kill Ramsay Bolton, and Ramsay's like, if only I didn't see you move ahead
Harry
of
Potter,
you.
because I don't know the names. She's the one that's with the werewolf dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's with Aruma Sleepton.
She's with Ares from Wonder Woman.
Oh, and actually, the other thing I forgot to mention is the Mandalorian is actually tied to The Witcher because Henry Cavill is dating Gina Carano.
What? Wait, what?
Yep. Look it up.
Are we going to be conquered by their super children?
Look it up.
Yeah, probably. Probably, yeah. Tonks, dude.
Okay,
Natalia Tena.
That was my mistake. She looks and sounds entirely different. She looks and sounds more like the fucking, I can't remember her name, but yeah, with all that makeup on and the teeth after
she's more like her character in Game of Thrones.
That's what you're talking about, yeah. I can see it.
She's really horny for Mando.
She is too horny.
Too horny. A lot of energy.
I also like the idea of not having a central villain until the final episode. And when he walks in, he's like, I own this place and watch me demonstrate it in a couple sentences. And I'm going to be very direct and clear with my intentions. And I'm going to lay out very precise and scary threats for all of you.
He's a fantastic villain because he's the opposite of Mando.
He's Space Gus from Breaking Bad.
Yes.
Space Gus from Breaking Bad, yes.
Yeah, he's the same character. He's Space Gus.
Right. No. And in a hand-to-hand fight, Mando would kill him, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because of who based on what he has at the end. I don't know. I'm just saying hand to hand. I'm not talking about.
We haven't really seen. He's obviously a good fighter pilot, but
sure.
Can we talk about? Wait, we've all finished the season, right?
Yes.
That last episode opening was fucking hilarious.
It was great.
It was fantastic.
I forget who's playing the two.
Jason Sudeikis, and also punching Baby O is a cancelable offense.
Right.
Jason Sudeikis is fucking canceled.
Him and Adam
Driver. Adam Driver.
Adam Pally is gone. He's erased. Sorry. You can't.
That was the most hilarious example of droid on human violence I've ever seen. Especially because he's like, hand me the child. Get him out of here, nurse robot. And then just fucking ragdolls these two stormtroopers. Also, continuously demonstrating that especially scout troopers are terrible shots. It's one of the fucking best things ever. You're sitting there trying to shoot that piece of junk. None of them can hit it. And I'm like, those helmets must be so fucking restrictive.
Well, no, then they look at the gun and he shakes the gun and it rattles.
He shakes the gun, yeah. And I love the idea of the Empire being in such disarray, their equipment's falling apart, their armor looks like shit. When someone asks how many numbers, someone goes, I don't know, 4.
Which again, what's his name? Apollo Creed is fantastic in this movie.
Yes.
And how old is that man? Because he looks undying.
It's the magic hand thing. Come on, do it.
He's so drunk in that last episode, that character. He is he's letting off fumes. Bad. It's real great.
Well,
I'm glad someone brought up Gina Carano because, let's be honest, up until about Deadpool, where she didn't say much, she kind of sucked. In pretty much everything. She's not an actress. People kept making her talk.
No, but she's not a bad actress.
It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger in that Hercules movie from the 70s. It's like he shouldn't be on a screen. He shouldn't be in front of a camera. Why are we allowing him to do that?
In this, she is like a fucking little ball of charisma, and is suddenly I'm like, wow, this is what you were meant to play.
Yes.
Yeah, well, because the thing is, she's huge. Physically, she's a large woman, but she's gorgeous, and she can kick the shit out of everybody. So
she'll destroy all of us. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, it works. It all works.
And basically, you're just like, oh, well, we have Ronda Rousey. You can go away. Oh no, you can come back.
Gives a shit. She got her fucking WrestleMania paycheck, and she could disappear for all I care.
Basically, they saw her act in that Fast and Furious and Entourage movie. Like, no, Gina, come back. We're sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, also, Gina got a Fast and Furious, and it's arguable that her Fast and the Furious is probably better. So, yeah, why not?
The 3 things I wanted to point out about The Mandalorian. 1, the fact that they were able to get Werner fucking Herzog on the show.
Be a recurring villain.
And he was actually putting some effort behind it. He wasn't just and bring me the baby.
And he called Jon Favreau a coward.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, he did.
Getting to see an IG unit wreck fucking shop multiple times was fucking rad.
I'm glad
IG unit is Taika Waititi.
I'm glad that we got to see so much of IG-11 because now that droid design suddenly makes so much more sense to me because it's just designed to be a pivoting laser blast, essentially. Like, it's just going to fucking shoot in 360 degrees all the time.
And the third thing I wanted to bring up is that my worldview was completely shattered when they got onto the lava barge and the 2 units stood up with arms and legs.
It's like in The Thing when it first grows arms and tentacles and stuff.
Like, I felt a intrinsic part of myself when I saw that. Not in a bad way, but I was just like, oh God, what is happening? Like, it made no sense to me in a logic way. I was just like, this does not
Yeah,
compute.
a lot of things felt really natural. Like them going back Tatooine, in most cases you'd go, like we're doing Mos Eisley again. But like, I'm like, no, that's exactly the kind of place that a fucking bounty hunter would find himself in if he's looking for work, because they've established it as the hive of scum and villainy. And you're only there for an episode.
And it's a post-Jabba Tatooine.
Yeah, a post-Empire Tatooine.
I
like the idea of a lot of stuff being post-Empire and being so closely removed from Return of the Jedi that the idea of the Jedi and the Force is still like, that shit's not real. Like, that's all gone.
Well, that's something I pointed out when I forget who I was talking to about it, but I said, like, people forget that the original trilogy was so narrowly focused on a group. It wasn't something that was like known the universe about, like, Skywalkers and this, that, and the other thing. Like, they're talked about in myth and legend, but they weren't ever like, oh yeah, that's the stuff with the stuff. It's like it's always been something that's been like kind of on the periphery that people don't really know if they believe in the post prequels.
I mean, on that sort of note, my only place where I'm like, is the Mandalorians not knowing about the Force, other than the what's her face, the welder, I can't remember her name.
Yeah, whatever she was. Go ahead, Lou. You had something?
I was gonna say, like, I wonder, because we didn't really get explained. Like, I wonder how much of true Mandalorians, like from Mandalore, are alive.
And I think they'll explain that in ways that will cause some of it to make sense.
Because we see, again, if you go to Clone Wars and Rebels, like, you see that in Clone Wars they're a thriving planet. Which we might even see
in Rebels, they're still a planet. They still have.
There are, like, in Rebels, they're in like a civil war. In Clone Wars, because Obi-Wan's, like, the woman he was in love with was their queen, and so we might see that in that show, some of that stuff. So, like, there's a huge drop off there, and then his stuff that he's talking about with the Purge is post-Rebel, like, kind of around Rebels. Because a whole bunch of, I can't remember one of the factions of Mandalorian sides with the Empire, and they say, like, all the Empire, the trooper armor is based off of their armor.
Yeah, I know the Saxons are one of the clans from Rebels that goes with them. But yeah, like, there's the Civil War grows on Mandalore, and I think we do see that.
Yes, which ties into the, like, again, the final shot. The item that I can't remember the character's name, but Gus has is in both. Yeah, Gideon has the Darksaber, which is in both series, and if you watch those series, you get to find out how important of an item that is.
It's an old Mandalorian / Jedi artifact, because it wasn't held by the first Mandalorian Jedi.
The first and only.
Yeah,
it's basically like their version of Excalibur.
Yeah,
and if you have it, then you're the king of the Mandalorians.
Because it's a marriage between Mandalorian weaponry and and Jedi lightsaber tech.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think some of the technology of the vibro blade, which is that knife Mando has, is also in there.
And
we actually get to see a vibro blade would look fucking awesome.
That's exactly why I told you, Lou, after I saw that last episode, don't read a single goddamn thing about this.
Yeah, when I saw that thing come out, I was like, holy shit. Because it's awesome. And I think it's in Rebels, because they have it and they're training one of the characters, and they're like, oh, every single one of the Mandalorian weapons is based to counteract Jedi. That's why they exist.
Yeah, and that's something I've talked to people at work about, like, when they've been talking about Mandalorian. It's like, I learned it from listening to episodes that you've talked about this, like how, jetpack is for force jump and so on and so forth. Like, just it's The show just does everything so well, and it shows that Jon Favreau actually gives a shit about Star Wars.
And there's moments
about everything he does.
There's moments of really earned satisfaction. Like the end of episode 3 is fucking fantastic.
Yes.
When the rest of the Mandalorians are firing off into the air in their jetpacks, landing and just offering fire support, and then to go with that in episode 8 when he goes back to the sewers and there's a pile of Mandalorian helmets, I let out an audible like I don't know. I was like, oh,
yeah.
I was like, what the fuck just happened? Yeah.
Oh, I was so sad.
That was. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the whatever the welder, the whatever her name is, was she implying that they took off their helmets and disappeared, or that they all died?
That's what she implied. Okay. She implied that they basically, in order for them to survive, and the only way to sneak out was to like take off their armor and leave.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't actually catch that part. That's
all right. That's what I thought. Yeah, I just want to make sure, because I was like, I can't imagine a bunch of ragtag Imperials. Well,
because it's a destroying of the culture, like in order to survive.
Yeah, they're forcing them to integrate themselves into the real world.
Yeah, there's so much that they're doing.
Which again, if you like that stuff, if you play, is it the first Knights of the Old Republic?
Mm-hmm.
It's like post the Mandalorian War. So if you read the Knights of the Old Republic, the comic from Dark Horse, it is during the Old Republic versus Mandalore War. That leads into the first game, and you get to see it's not canon anymore. Sort of, because Revan is canon, I think now.
Yeah, they've said that he's canon.
Something.
Rise of Skywalker, I believe they confirmed it as canon.
Yeah, so like, but you
softly,
you get to see like a lot of Mandalorian culture.
We'll get to that.
And how all that works.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was my number 3. So Connor, I believe it's your number 3 at this point.
My number 3 is Joker. Having just watched it today, I put this movie off. When did this come out? August?
October.
I've still not seen it, but you're going to make me see it now.
I put this movie off because, let's be honest, like, even after I liked Aquaman, Wonder Woman's fine. I am so fucking burned out on anything DC related that WB puts out in theaters that even as enticing as this looked, I was like, no, fuck that. I don't trust any of you people. I don't trust anyone. I don't trust in any universe that you couldn't fuck this up. And then like the film festival, and then the film festival stuff started happening, and then all of that stuff, and then the fucking media got a hold of it. My fucking God.
It's gonna ruin our country.
It's going to incite violence. And like the longer I watch this, I'm like, this is so not doing what like the fucking talking heads on TV are trying to say.
Oh no! All it did was
there was a lot of overreaction.
All it did was incite dumb white people to go to the Bronx and get eggs thrown at them because
on that staircase. Yeah, I'm in favor of that too. No, but this was far more interesting than I thought it was going to be, and it actually does something I wasn't expecting, which is not really say like, oh, you know, Joker, Arthur Fleck is the seed of madness in Gotham, whatever. It's like, no, they treat Gotham City like an antagonist because it's the infrastructure that is so fucked and irreparable at this point that not Thomas Wayne isn't going to fucking save it, even though he says he's going to. And then you get through Arthur's interactions with the psychiatrist, like they're like, yeah, our funding's been cut across the board. They don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about me. So like, you know, your treatment's going to end. And there's several moments throughout the course of that movie where you can actually see, like, without having to have him get dropped into a vat of chemicals, individual moments where you could say that is one of the steps he took to become what this universe would call the Joker. And like one of them is a talk show moment. Like the other one is when I don't want to like when he decides to kill for the first time. Through various revelations, because I don't want to throw any hard spoilers out because Lou hasn't seen it yet, but like also Joaquin Phoenix's performance is like just unfucking believable.
He kills it. It's
my God. He's a good actor.
You can't help but just like stare at him in both awe and terror because one, like he's got these individual little ticks and motions he does, and it's not like to compare it to the all opposite side of the spectrum of like John Travolta in Fanatic, who's like rocking back and forth on his fucking scooter and like sniffing his hand after he wipes his ass, like, and doing like the first choices you'd make as an actor to play someone who has kind of mental disability. Like
Arthur is twitchy and nervous all the time, and he's constantly smoking cigarettes down to the fucking filter. And the laugh is excruciating to hear because it's involuntary, and a lot of the times he's trying to cry and can't, and he's laughing instead. And the whole time I'm going, "Oh my god, someone stop this!" So that way it's really effective. But to also have the story where it's Gotham creates Joker and then Joker creates Batman is a really interesting way to convey the story of, Batman Joker's relationship. I also really like this version of Thomas Wayne, who's kind of a piece of shit. He's not this, glowing, radiant doctor figure that you always fucking hear about, whenever the movies at least portray him, or, other
Yeah, they've done that in the comics before with, weirdness with them.
The Telltale games does that too.
He's very blunt. He's got a foul mouth. And when confronted by Arthur about this whole, maybe you're my dad kind of thing, he's like, your mom's fucking crazy. And you've totally been adopted, and I don't have any association with you. I don't want to associate with you. Get away from me.
You don't get to be a billionaire with being a nice guy.
Exactly.
Right.
And the violence in this movie was shocking every time it happened.
Yep.
And the for some reason, there was some the blood is thick and gross looking. And later on, when someone gets shot in the head, I don't know whose decision this was, but because I'm watching this in a massive fucking screen in the living room, you can see brain matter dripping out of the back of his head, and I'm like, that is a disgusting touch. That is so appropriate and awesome for the shot. But to have an idea of a Gotham villain as ridiculous and over the top as the Joker, and have a function to make him something that you could conceivably create in reality outside of the Heath Ledger Joker, because he appears already as a full-fledged character by the time we meet him. So just see the steps that you would have to take to get someone to that point is really interesting, and I'm glad this happened. That being said, they're gonna fuck up the sequels.
Yep. It's not on my list.
Sequels to that movie.
Warner Brothers. Here's the thing: after Warner Brothers has already been infamously implicated in trying to sabotage the movie, there's already talk of them doing things like having him fight other villains, which is the stupidest fucking thing.
That's hilarious.
I can't wait for that to come out.
I posted on Facebook. I said, "Watch, he's gonna fight a ridiculously grounded Mr. Freeze who repairs air conditioning units, and he'll lose his job and then kill people with a fire extinguisher."
What they will do, and not to make a joke of it, and it's because it's a Snyder story, was they'll do war jokes and riddles, but really badly.
Oh, they'll do it
terribly. That story was so good.
Yeah, Riddler will just be, and they'll be like, "Fuck it, Riddler's a stand-up comedian too," and they'll just both be competing comedians. Yeah, it's gonna be the only sequel idea that I would approach is if you keep Joker as the main character and you get to see Batman through his eyes. That's a sequel idea I could go with, but anything else, I don't give a shit, because they will fuck this up so badly.
Oh, they will.
In the next outing.
They will ruin any goodwill that this movie might have, even from people who didn't love it. Because it's fine. I did, yeah. I have problems with that movie, but you pointed out a lot of the really good stuff. The score's great. I will say, cinematography's great.
It's a fantastically made movie as far as the score, the lighting, the cinematography. There are some things about it I don't really care for, the Bruce Wayne contrivances are a little over the top. And what I'm referring to as Fight Club Girlfriend is the most transparent twist in that movie. I could possibly.
I'm angry on her behalf. I'm angry on Zazie Beetz' behalf. I'm a little bit really. Really, you couldn't write her a better role, so you just gave her nothing?
When that reveal happens, you're like, of course that's how it is, because you filmed those sequences with no subtlety whatsoever. And it becomes very clear, what the truth is. Although there's some things in that movie where you could go I don't know if that's how it happened or not, or if that's reality or not. And I thought there should have been more of the anarchy at the end. But other than that, I've talked about this a while. Anybody else seen it? Anybody else have thoughts?